Hey, welcome to this video. I'm going to talk about 5 ways to create moments of genuine connection with students online during distance learning. And we know how important relationships are with students. It facilitates every part of the learning process, makes every part of our jobs easier. This concept, moments of genuine connection, or MGCs, comes from Dave Stewart Jr. He's a science teacher, an instructional coach online, man of many talents, and he realized he was spending hours and hours every week trying to build relationships with his students, and it was cutting into his prep time and then his family time. So he wanted these small, efficient moments of connection, a lot of bang for his buck. So moments, he's shooting for 1 to 3 minutes, 3 minutes max with these. Genuine connection is he wants to make the student feel valued, known, and respected. That's what he's seeking in these interactions. And that could be calling out something you know about the student, something that they bring up, something personal or academic, just valued, known, and respected. And embedded, so in normal, typical times before class, after class, or during independent work is when he fits these in typically, because then that's not adding any time to his plate. And then he tracks them. So Dave keeps a clipboard, prints off his roster, and then if he has attempted an MGC with a student, it doesn't have to go well. He just has to do his best, put his best foot forward. If he's attempted to make that connection with a student, he puts a check next to their name. And he doesn't start with a new roster until he's tried to make a connection with each student on his roster. So how to apply these to online distance learning? Number 1, waiting rooms. And Dave acknowledges that this is specific to Zoom. So if you're not using Zoom, you're going to have to brainstorm and get creative, work with colleagues. But waiting rooms is something Zoom has, so you can let students in from the waiting room one at a time or a couple at a time and make those connections with kids individually as they're coming in. You can also use the individual chat in Zoom. So instead of chatting the whole class, you can pick a person and chat only them. So if we're doing an activity, you can send an individual chat to the student. Number 2, brief office hours. So this is an idea where you set aside maybe a half an hour of time a week and make that a scheduled thing, and then consider making it required that students attend that at least once per term. And you could schedule it out, and Dave suggests, starting maybe with alphabetically by last name. So your A's go first or your Z's go first. But just scheduling kids for required office time. And then that's a way for you to keep a routine of having these virtual one-on-one or small group conversations with students. Number 3, embedding it in feedback. So this doesn't add anything to your plate, which is why it's so great. There's some research that students are far more likely to apply your feedback if it's via virtual instruction, if it's audio recordings versus written. And that might sound intimidating from a tech perspective, but the great thing about Dave Stewart Jr. is he recorded multiple short videos showing how to easily execute this with a lot of different platforms. So Google Classroom, Schoology, Dave's got you covered. And once you get the hang of that, it's actually a lot faster to leave feedback via audio recordings versus writing it out. So a lot of win-wins there. Number 4, video postcards. So Dave got this idea from college professors who've been doing asynchronous instruction for years. The idea is in your natural routine, like when you're out and about, or just whenever you decide to do this, you record a really short video to your whole class, just saying, hey, thinking about you guys, this is what I'm up to, this is what made me think of you guys, just thinking of you. And then you just post that to Google Classroom or Schoology for your whole class. And you could do that with your phone and then upload to your Google Drive, say, the video. You could also use your work computer. So if you're on a PC with Windows 10, there's a camera app that Microsoft builds into Windows 10. So search your programs for camera, it should come up. And then on Mac's Photo Booth, that's what I'm using right now, the Photo Booth application. So you could just record those videos there. Dave suggests you could do that for individual students. That takes a lot of time versus for your whole class. So if you're really fast and efficient at it, maybe consider doing it for some of your individual students, but otherwise just the whole class. And then phone calls. So we have students, quote unquote, ghosting us at this point. If you're having a really hard time connecting to that student, they're not showing up at all, or just having a hard time connecting with them, or if there's just internet Wi-Fi issues. Some of the reasons why you're going to want to prioritize making phone calls with some of those kids. And just a couple of phrases. These don't have to be long phone calls. You say, hey, I'm checking in. Is anything getting in the way of your learning right now? That's a nice, like, non-aggressive way to phrase it so you don't put the student on the defensive. I just want you to know I was thinking about this thing that we talked about recently is a good way to open that, the reason why you're calling. Or I think you're really going to like what's coming up in our class. And like I said, just keeping those phone calls short. So if they start to drag on, you can just bring up, like, I've got this other thing I need to get to, and end the phone call. So that's it. 5 ideas for making those moments of genuine connection online. Thanks for your time.